Ripple may get a lot of flack from the crypto community, but its token XRP has remained a top crypto by market cap for over a decade. Now, it's been a while since we last covered it and a lot has happened, so it's about time for a quick update on what it's up to today. If you didn't already know, Ripple launched way back in 2012 with the goals of improving how money moves across borders. While sending money internationally at a retail level has become infinitely easier via fintech apps like Wise, Revolut, etc., there's still significant friction when it comes to the huge volumes that institutions deal with, or when it comes to trading between countries which are underserved by traditional rails like SWIFT. For example, sending money from the Philippines to Nigeria, or Brazil to Kenya, or big businesses transferring large payments. These instances will still likely get charged high conversion and processing fees and experience longer settlement times. Now, we won't dive deep into its tech here, but for a quick recap on how it works. Ripple uses its XRP ledger and Ripple payment system to enable faster and cheaper cross-border payments. Instead of relying on the slow, expensive SWIFT system, Ripple's software, mainly built for banks and payment providers, lets them convert currencies in real time using XRP as the bridge asset. You may have heard of Beam before. They started with a focus on gaming, but have expanded way beyond that. Now, Beam's building a full-on ecosystem for what you might call frontier tech. DeFi, decentralized compute, and next-gen dApps, they've got a sizable treasury to bring this vision to life, but they're not just tossing funding around. They're getting involved, helping teams build, making connections, and making sure the different pieces actually work together. And if you're holding the Beam token, you're not just along for the ride. You've got a say in what gets built, how resources are used, and where the network is headed next. So, if you're into the idea of building the next wave with a community, not just observing from Twitter, check out their Medium page that we've linked in the description below. It runs on a different consensus system that doesn't need mining or staking like Bitcoin or Ethereum, but instead uses a list of trusted validators to agree on which transactions are valid. These validators are in theory chosen by the community, but in practice many are operated or endorsed by Ripple or Ripple affiliated entities. This design, its overarching goals to fit into the current banking system, along with other things like its entire supply of 100 billion tokens being pre-mined, are the main reasons why the crypto native community criticizes Ripple for being centralized, more like a private fintech company with some blockchain rails rather than a true crypto project. And this is in contrast with the general public's view on the project, who even view it to be among the blue chips, as it's been a mainstay in the top cryptos with real-world banking use cases and lots of media attention. Okay, so to just quickly recap on Ripple's journey. It first started seeing some testing and adoption by banks like Santander and Standard Chartered way back in 2016, and fintech company MoneyGram in 2019, though this partnership ended in 2021 after legal troubles started brewing, which of course brings us to its 4.5-year-long legal battle with the SEC. That began in 2020 when the SEC sued Ripple, accusing it of raising over $1 billion through unregistered XRP sales. The case dragged on until this year, with Ripple finally expected to settle with just $125 million, far below the $2 billion initially sought by the SEC. Though even throughout the years of legal trouble, Ripple kept building. In 2023, it launched a CBDC private ledger to help central banks test digital versions of their national currencies, using the same tech that powers XRP. That move led to collaborations with countries like Georgia, Colombia, Hong Kong, and Montenegro. In late 2024, Ripple launched RLUSD, a US dollar stablecoin built for enterprise payments, which is now being integrated into Ripple payments to work alongside XRP. And in early 2025, Ripple made one of its biggest moves yet, acquiring Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. Hidden Road is a prime broker, meaning it helps large institutions like hedge funds and trading firms buy and sell digital assets. That said, Ripple faces some competition. Banks are upgrading to new systems and standards like Swift GPI and ISO 20022, which allow for faster and more transparent international payments. Though Ripple is compliant with these new standards, these upgrades make traditional systems more efficient and competitive, potentially lessening the need for external solutions like Ripple. Stablecoins are also eating market share. Companies like Circle, PayPal, and Stripe are starting to enable stablecoin payments at scale for remittances, B2B, or e-commerce. Now, it might be telling that Ripple has launched its own RLUSD stablecoin and even tried to acquire Circle, but more on that in a bit. Even CBDCs could compete with some of Ripple's use cases. If they can be used for direct settlement between banks, then there will be less need for XRP as an intermediary currency. Ripple is aiming to stay relevant here by helping build CBDC infrastructure, but they're competing with giants like Consensus, IBM, and Visa. So what is next for Ripple? With its legal troubles now behind it and new products in motion, Ripple is starting to shift its focus toward expansion. The company's been rumored to go public for a while now, but CEO Brad Garlinghouse recently confirmed that they have no plans to do that this year.
The company's at a stage where we could consider that. That being said, it isn't a huge priority.
Instead, acquisitions are the bigger priority. And we've already seen that in action with the $1.25 billion purchase of Hidden Road, which we mentioned earlier. And Ripple also tried to acquire Circle with initial bids reportedly in the $4 to $5 billion range, which Circle rejected. However, some sources suggest Ripple may have returned with even higher offers, possibly reaching up to $11 billion. Meanwhile, several asset management firms, including Bitwise, 21 Shares, and WisdomTree have filed applications with the US SEC to launch XRP-based ETFs. While some futures-based ETFs have already been approved, the SEC is still reviewing the spot ETF applications, with final deadlines set for later in 2025. And recently, approval probabilities for XRP and a slew of other alts have also been bumped to 95%, according to a Bloomberg analyst. Ripple also has big goals for RLUSD, its US dollar stablecoin that launched in December last year. The aim is to make it
one of the top 5 in the market by the end of the year, and I think the whole market's going to grow dramatically over this year.
At the time of filming this video, it sits outside the top 10 stablecoins with a market cap of around 500 million. And finally, Ripple has also revealed plans to expand into institutional DeFi on the XRP ledger. That includes things like a permission decentralized exchange, a phrase that might raise some eyebrows since being permissioned kind of defeats the whole point of decentralization. That said, the idea is to give banks and institutions tools to operate on-chain while staying compliant. Now, perhaps the question everyone's most interested in: how does all of this tie into XRP's price? Well, sorry to disappoint, as we won't be setting any price targets, but here are a few things to consider. Remember that XRP is not like a stock that reflects the value of Ripple, the company. XRP is an intermediary token that acts as a quick bridge, not meant to be held for long. It moves fast between parties to help payments settle instantly. It's different from, say, Bitcoin, which acts as a store of value, or Ethereum that gets held or burnt for gas fees. Globally, around 400 billion moves across borders every day. If Ripple's system captured even a tiny fraction of that, say 1%, that's still billions flowing through XRP daily. So while high transaction volume could support a solid XRP price in theory, the reality is more complicated. The price depends not just on adoption, but on how many people actually hold XRP, market speculation, and how Ripple Labs manages its supply. Ripple can sell its XRP holdings into the market whenever it wants, and CTO David Schwartz even acknowledged this dynamic, saying Ripple can, will, and should act in its own interests, and that holders shouldn't expect otherwise. That means buying XRP is more like a speculative play, where price moves with market sentiment, hoping others will buy it too, though the same can be said with many other cryptos as well. In short, Ripple's adoption could keep XRP relevant, but it doesn't guarantee that the price will soar. That said, crypto markets aren't the most rational, so maybe left curving this whenever sentiment is bullish may be the better bet. Not financial advice. So that's where Ripple stands in 2025. It's always been a bit of an outlier in crypto, working with regulators, institutions, and playing by different rules. Whether that makes it a sellout or a survivor really depends on how you define success in this space. So, what are your thoughts on Ripple?